I grew up in Northwest London, in Willesden. My family are Jewish, but we didn't have a religious upbringing at all. To put it into perspective, they eat pork, they drink alcohol, we celebrated Christmas. So they really didn't believe in the Jewish religion. However, what a lot of people don't know is Jewish is a culture, a cultural identity as well as a religion. So they did definitely believe and hold on to their heritage, but I wasn't really brought up with a strong connection to it. And I think looking back now, I felt a lot of shame around it. So it wasn't something that I ever spoke about. We were just English, really. And I grew up in the drama industry. I went to stage school. My great aunt owns a lot of the theatre companies up and down the UK. When she was alive, she founded a lot of drama teaching. So I grew up on the stage. I was in productions from as early as I can remember. And when I was around 13 years old, my grandfather passed away, and he was the closest person in my life. I wasn't, at that time, I didn't have a very strong relationship with my parents. They were a lot older than me. My mum had me at the age I am now, which is 37, and I have a 16-year-old. There was a lot of disconnect. There were a lot of things going on in my family life behind closed doors where I just never felt like I belonged anywhere. And I was that person in school that just got kicked out of every classroom for talking. And my teachers would say to me over and over again, "You're a bright girl, but you are going to ruin your life. You're going to throw your life away. You will never get anywhere because you talk too much." And I literally sit here today and I get paid very well to talk. So you were wrong. But at that time, I just got fed up of being kicked out of all the classrooms. Again, I just really didn't feel like I belonged. And I stopped going to school at 14 years old. I just stopped. And I was having this conversation with my sister because she's a teacher. And she's like, "You could not get away with not going to school now." But there wasn't a single phone call home. For 2 entire years, I didn't spend one day in school. I was outside. And I just got in with a lot of crazy crowds. I was just really lost.
Outside? What is outside?
Outside for those listening.
So if you guys can pick up on the microphone, we've got Sister Aisha Mercedes.
We've got my friend Aisha. She should come in right now, so you might hear a laugh.
She's here to make sure Sister Khalila doesn't say anything that she shouldn't say.
My hype girl. I got in with a lot of bad crowds. I was in with drug dealers. I was out, like, from 14 years old. I looked a lot older than I was. I started promoting nightclubs. When I say outside, I was not in the house.
Okay.
And I was really, again, I just was very lost. There was a lot of situations that, looking back, I mean, my son's 14, he's a boy. And to think, I look at him, I'm like, "You're a child." But I thought I knew it all. And that path led me into the music industry. So I would spend a lot of time in people's studios. I was in Ladbroke Grove, and there was like a basement studio where a lot of artists, UK rappers, would come and make music. I'd always loved poetry, and I just found myself using where I'd been a voice within the hip hop music, which I'd never have seen for myself, knowing myself growing up. But I fell in love with hip hop. Hip hop was just, it gave me an expression. I love lyricists. And the more I was working in the hip hop industry, I started to get pushed onto the stage. So then I'm 15, 16 years old, and I'm hosting a lot of celebrities. And it became to the point where, you know, we'd have artists flying in, Ghostface Killer, and I'd be hosting them. So that was my life. I started working I was doing shows. I was on Kiss FM, BBC. There was a lot of places that I was working with the artists. And I had dreams. I had big aspirations. I would say I wanted to be famous, but it wasn't because I wanted to be in the light. It was just that I had a message. I was very against oppression. I was a very deep thinker. And hip hop allowed that expression. Yeah, it was going really well. But the main thing that I did was hosting. Yeah, I did touring with multiple artists. And I just fell in love with the industry. But there was something missing. And I think a really huge thing when I was around 18 years old that I began to notice is a lot of these artists, when they're on the stage, you're talking your big rappers, the girls are screaming. They can get any girl they want, even the not good looking ones. They can take their pick. But when the lights went off, when the day ended and they'd go backstage, they'd be turning to alcohol, they'd be turning to drugs. And I noticed that a lot of them were almost numbing a sense of still not belonging, even though they're living their dreams, even though they got money, they got cars, they've got women, which is what they want. They've got fame, success, but there was just something missing. And I remember being 18 years old and just thinking, there's got to be more to life than this. And ultimately that is what then sent me on a search to find religion, because I didn't know religion. It was at that moment that I began to really search.
Did you go and ask your grandfather,
My grandfather passed away.
Okay, he was gone. Okay. Who did you ask, or who did you speak to first when you realized, you know what, there's got to be something else?
Yeah, I definitely didn't ask my family because my family are not religious.
Okay.
My extended family, some of them are religious in the Jewish religion, but I already knew I didn't believe in that, because the Jewish religion believes you have to be born Jewish to be the chosen people. Yeah. And I had friends from every culture, every race, every country. And from as young as I can remember, I always believed, why would God make them? What, they're just made for the hellfire? Like, it didn't make sense to me. So I already knew I didn't believe in the Jewish religion. A lot of my friends were Christian, so I did look into Christianity a lot, but I couldn't get around but there's one, but there's three, but it's Jesus, but there's one God. Like you know, when something just doesn't make sense, no matter who I asked, I could never find an answer. And my best friend at the time, who I was staying with, we were living in South West London, she became Muslim. And that, you know, a lot of reverts you'll find when they're looking into religion, Islam is like the least one you'd ever think of, because it feels so foreign.
Yeah.
It seems so like the women are covered, they're quiet, I'm loud, I'm on stages, I'm in the club. And it wasn't something that I would consider. But when she became Muslim, I saw her fall in love with herself, learn respect for herself as a woman, things that we are not taught in the West. The self-validation that she got from reading the Quran, and just, she was determined, by the way. She was like, you are going to become Muslim. And she wouldn't stop for about a year. She was telling me hadiths, telling me again and again and again. And eventually, my heart, it opened up. God opened my heart, and I really understood, yeah, this is what I was created for, to worship one God, and Muhammad is the final message.
Do you remember what day it was when that opening happened, when you realized, you know what, this is it?
I think the moment she told me about Islam, I believed in it. But for me, I was like, Allah, feels foreign. And there was a sister, actually one of the sisters from Poetic Pilgrimage, Sakina, who was a friend of mine at the time, said to me, do you know that Allah just means God? That was the moment it clicked.
Wow.
I was
like, something so simple.
It's the same God. It's one God. It's for everyone. And then I was like, okay, God made everyone. You can be rich, you can be poor. And, you know, watching things like Umrah, where you could have a king and the poorest man on earth side by side, and you wouldn't know who was who, because that's the God. That's the God. He doesn't care. These worldly possessions, because I had it all. These worldly possessions, they're not coming with us. It's our connection. And yeah, actually, when I think about it, in the hip hop industry, when I was working on the stages, the outfits they would choose are show more skin, make your cleavage show more. This is how you're going to get more views, more people, show more. How is that freer than being told, cover up and protect yourself, honor yourself? You know, it's such a warped mentality, but we live in a godless society. We're not supposed to.
If you were to take a step back into pre-Islam days, what were you seeing of Islam? Like, what did you see? I'm sure you've seen it on TV, you know, Islam, Muslim, this, that. How did it come across to you? Because I can never imagine what it's like, because I've always been a Muslim.
Yeah. My best friend in high school, when I did go to school before I left, was called Fatima. And she was a Muslim, and she wore hijab, and she fasted Ramadan. But she never gave me dawah. She never said to me anything about Islam. So I've always been a very open-minded person. I don't prejudge. So like I loved it for her, but I just never saw it as something that could be for anyone else. I didn't have too many preconceived notions, but I definitely knew society told us it's for terrorists. It's very extreme religion. So yeah, it wasn't something I'd ever really looked into, but I had a lot of Muslim friends, but majority were not practicing it.
Is Islam extreme?
Absolutely. It's the modest middle path. Islam is the middle path. There's nothing that is extreme, except everything that we would see in society is extreme. God does it for us, for our benefit. Like not drinking alcohol. Why? It harms us. It's actually us poisoning ourselves. And we condition ourselves to think we can't have a good time without it. Like now I go on stages. Back in the day, I thought I had to have a shot of tequila or something or to have the confidence. But I have to work on myself and show up as me, which is a strength, instead of doing these things that are just Band-Aids,